the national curriculum at secondary level actually made you tease out what were the thought elements in your subject. But we too had 10 strands and 10 levels of assessment. I mean, it was absolutely ludicrous. And in the end, a lot of it just dropped away because it was impossible to carry it out. So,
yeah. And that was the time when SATs were brought in, originally for year 7s, standard attainment tests they were called, and then for year 11 as well, 11-year-olds in year 6 as well, and
14-year-olds, yes.
Yeah. Which I can understand the thought behind it, but it doesn't. It never sort of tells you who is actually your most creative child, or the child with the best ideas, the most original thinker. Those were the things that Michael Armstrong was interested in. He saw every child as being unique and tried to bring out the best in them. SATs don't do that. They mark their technical merits and very little else, as far as I can see.
And also statistical predictions are made about secondary school subjects based on the primary school SATs. And many of these are seriously weird. So there is no primary school SAT in history, but they calculate what this child should get at GCSE age 16 from something they did aged 11 in a primary school. So you have our deepest sympathy.
Yeah. And of course the goalposts move. We have children at 7 who achieve a level 3 for their standard attainment test. And then when they're in year 4 or 5, they're still only a level 3. You know, the goalposts move, if you like. And then we have children at the age of 11 who are achieving a level 5. Well, they go on to secondary school, and at 14 it's still a level 5.
Because they've peaked at that stage.
Yes. Or the knowledge is much wider as they get older. But yes, I have serious issues with many of these things. And certainly towards the end of Michael's time as head, because he was retiring and because he was well known in the educational world for his views, he could just sort of ignore a lot of the things that came out. And I certainly found that myself, and as I was nearing retirement, I'd think, no, I'm going to do it my way. And if they don't like it, well, I'll leave. And I think actually we were lucky with Peter Cancel in that he very much taught in the same way. You know, that children were the important thing. You could be an outstanding school just because of your paperwork. Now, that doesn't mean you've got outstanding pupils. So.
Let's talk a little more about Michael Armstrong. I mean, can you summarise his influence, because he's been a key person in the primary school and indeed in the village, although he never lived here, because he was known to all, really, had a big influence. And you talk about his time at the primary school as a separate.
Yeah, he lived some way away actually, he lived in Southampton, but he was always here for every function, weekends, evening do's, whatever. He was very musical, and very creative, and loved children's writing. I mean, I did bring his book in. Wrote several books while he was head of Harwell Primary. The first of those was called Closely Observed Children, a diary of a primary school, and actually that was used in the Every Child Matters brief from the government, and he was quoted on that, because that, I feel, was his ethos, that every child matters, no matter who they were, no matter where they came from. Every child was important, and he valued them, and he valued their parents. He always had time for both the children and the parents. He would sit and talk and just tease out. Children have got this long memory of Michael Armstrong. You know, he made a huge difference to their lives and to their parents. they all felt valued as well. And I think that has permeated the school and the staff, and even with our new head, or he's about to retire, but he picked up that and kept that going, the fact that children are the most important thing, and government initiatives can come and go, but you've still got the children, and they're the ones that really matter.
And Michael Armstrong was well respected way beyond Harwell Primary School in educational circles, and I actually have a personal anecdote about that our son Ian ended up going to America and doing a master's degree in education at Harvard, and he was working away there in the department, chatting over coffee one day. Somebody found that he had been taught by Michael Armstrong, and he immediately became a celebrity in the Department of Education at Harvard University, because Michael went there every summer and taught in America and talked about the way that he taught and that people taught in Harwell specifically. And the educationalists in Harvard were just astonished and impressed to meet somebody who'd been taught by Michael Armstrong, which is just extraordinary.
Yes. He had a way with people. Children, adults, it didn't matter really. He just could talk to everybody, I think. Yeah.
And of course he lodged with you quite a lot,
Well,
right?
yes,
Didn't he?
that was quite. I think he'd been at Harwell School for about 2 years, and he lived in Southampton, but he borrowed his sister's house in East Ilsley. I was working at nursery at the time, and Sue came and asked me, do you know anyone that could help Michael? He needs somewhere to live a couple of nights a week because his sister wants her house back. And my children had both left home, so suddenly we've got 3 empty bedrooms. And I said, well, I don't mind, but, you know, for a couple of weeks until he finds somewhere. So Sue goes back to tell him, yeah, okay. So he came and he stayed for 15 years. 2 nights a week. He was just an amazing lodger. You know, he would come in quite often. He ran a choir, an East End choir, so he ran that on a Monday night. So he came to my house after choir. The only meal I had to give him was breakfast. He always had a boiled egg and toast, and he brought his own little coffee machine that you put on top of the gas. So I just provided him with coffee to go in that, and then he would get up before I got up in the morning. He would be out of the house by the time I came downstairs. He was just so easy, and then he always stopped on a Thursday. I think was it Wednesday or Thursday night, whichever was a governor's. He always had a meeting the night he stopped at my house, and he would go to the Kingswell to eat. He was a regular customer of the Kingswell.